Hello, everyone. I'm Tiffany. I'm the moderator for today's session with Ms. Rhonda France, titled Setting Up and Running a Successful Digital Classroom. Ms. France will be taking questions during the last 10 minutes of her presentation, and the best way to ask a question is through the chat. But if you prefer, you can go on a video, and if you just click on Ask to Share Audio Video, we'll get you up on the screen. Okay, Rhonda, I'll let you take it from there.
All right, thank you, Tiffany. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started here this morning. Good morning, everyone. I am very excited to be here with you. I'm just going to be doing a couple things here while we get ready to get started. So like we were talking about, we are going to talk about setting up and running a successful digital classroom. It is actually much easier than you would think. I promise, it really is. So just a bit about myself. I am a 5th grade teacher in Cabell County, West Virginia, and this is going to be my 12th year of teaching. I do find that I'm always the oldest girl on the block as far as the people that have been teaching my same number of years, because I raised my family before I went to college. So I was a little bit late getting started. So again, this will be my 12th year of teaching. And the first year I went digital was 2019-2020, which was that school year when, that March 13th hit and we all lost everything. So it was actually a great opportunity. I started in October and decided to go digital. And it was a great thing that I did, because by the time March rolled around, my kids already knew how to do this. So it was not a problem. So I was so thankful that I decided to do this ahead of schedule. And when I began, they didn't know this was going to happen. So I only had 10 iPads and 28 students. So it was definitely difficult. But if I could do it with that ratio, I know that most of you have 1-to-1 now, so anyone could do it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about why you might want to have a digital or paperless classroom, as some people call it. If you're like me, there's lots of reasons out there that you might want to give it a shot. I'll be real honest. My number one reason why was we kept getting email after email after email from our administrators saying, what is the deal? Why are you using so much paper? And I was really concerned, because as a 5th grade teacher, we have a lot of material. So we were using a lot of paper. And so one morning I told the kids, I said, I think we could go paperless. One of my friends that works for Apple had told me that she had did it one year. And to be quite honest, I thought she was crazy when she told me that she went paperless. But when I thought about it, I thought, why couldn't I do that? And so some of my reasons were environmental concerns. I'm a new grandmother. I have a 15-month-old grandson. And, I want there to be a planet for him and his grandchildren. So, I worry about things like, cutting down trees and deforestation. So that was one reason for me. Next was the ease and convenience. I do love that everything is in one place and it can't get lost. And then I will tell you, when I was in 2nd grade, Miss Edmonds always told me that she wouldn't take papers in the winter. She wouldn't touch our papers if we had been out sick, because she always got pink eye. Well, she cursed me. Since I became a teacher, every year I get pink eye, until 2019, 2020. It was the first year that I didn't have pink eye. But, your kids get sick. They're sneezing, coughing, touching their face, touch their homework, turn it into you. You touch your face, welcome to pink eye. So it was very, very nice to not have health concerns. And plus things like the flu, you don't have to worry about that. And then another reason was when you have those kids who, bless their hearts, are gone all the time. And in elementary world, I always feel bad for the students, because it's not their fault if they can't make it to school. Sometimes it's a parent concern. Sometimes it's also even just kids that get pulled out a lot. If you have kids that go out for tag, or kids that go out to see the social worker, or kids that go to special ed, if you have this digital platform already created, those assignments are there for them no matter whether they're in school or they're somewhere else. And for special ed, it's great because they can take this one device with them, and they can take it to their special ed teacher, and they can help them with these assignments instead of having to create something on their own. I know my special ed cohort this year loved the fact that she could just work with my kids. It was already there. She knew exactly what the assignments were going to be. She could look at them as soon as I loaded them. So it's great for things like that. And then, of course, student engagement. I was one of those kids that got bored really easy. And I know that there's a lot of kids like that. And so I want to keep them involved. And, young people love technology. And so it was just a great way for me to get them excited and keep them interested. And of course, technology integration for me, I love technology. I am a tech nut. I love it. I'm a real Apple fiend. I love any Apple products out there, and I love trying them. So for me, there were a lot of reasons to try. You might have a different reason. Maybe you have, a sick loved one, and this is easy for you because you don't have to worry about taking papers in and out of your house that would have germs on them, anything like that. So first we're going to talk about the things you have to do. There's usually about 6 things I think of. And the first one is, guys, you have to persevere. You're going to struggle. I promise you, you will. Your students are going to struggle. Everyone does, but that's okay. Then we'll talk about how you create assignments. And PDFs are great. If you know how to create a PDF, and we'll talk about the ways you can do that, you are golden, because that's all you need to be able to do. You have to know how to upload your assignments. Now, I'm not sure throughout the state what all the different LMSs are that are out there. Our county actually uses Schoology for our learning management system, and it's very user-friendly. So that's the one I'll be showing you today in some of my examples. But if you use something different in your county, if you go to Google and search it, I promise you there'll be tons of videos. As teachers, we love to share things, and we love when people share things with us. So teachers find out little tricks and they make a video of it, throw it up on YouTube, and they're there for you. So you just have to figure those things out for your own program. And then completing assignments, you need to learn how students are going to see your assignments. You're going to need to learn exactly what it looks like from the student side. And that's not tricky. 1 or 2 assignments and you'll know exactly what you're doing. And then how they submit those as well. A lot of times they're going to have more than one option. In my county, there's 2 different options, and I quickly learned through grading. One way was a whole lot easier for me, and it didn't really make much difference for my students. So I would just ask them, please go through Clever, because it makes it easier for me to grade your papers. So you can play around with that as well. And then finally, grading your assignments. And again, we'll talk about that, but you just pick whatever's best for you. There's usually a couple options there as well. All right, so that first thing we talked about, don't quit. I promise you're going to struggle. I had a little boy in my classroom. He was one of my golden children. He was great, never caused problems, was always on time, always had his things turned in. And about a week and a half in, bless his heart, almost every time he would turn me something in, I would see him having it ready on his iPad. But then when I would get it, it would be blank. And like I say, about 2 weeks in, he looked at me and said, Mrs. France, can we please just go back to paper? And I said, no, Andrew, we can't. We've got this. You just have to remember, we have to go through Clever to turn things in so they're not blank. But so you are going to have problems that come up, but just don't quit. And the beginning of the year is a great time to try, because the kids are learning new stuff anyway. All right. So the things you have to do to create an assignment. PDFs. PDFs are super easy and they're so user-friendly. So, the thing is, if you can print it, download it, or take a picture of it, it can be a PDF. The great thing is, any assignment that you were going to go to print students, when you go to the dialog box at the very top, it'll say printer. And so you want to choose what printer. Maybe your building only has one. But if you click on that, there's still going to be an option that says save as PDF. So instead of printing it, you're saving as a PDF. And it might be a 10-page file. Maybe you only want to save 1 page of that. So you can also, you can decompress those things and make them much smaller. And then, of course, if it's a download, you do the exact same thing. You just PDF. But I also found a free program. It is called Adobe Scan. It is by the people that make Adobe Acrobat, but it's called Adobe Scan. It is absolutely free, and you can download it onto your iPad or your phone. And with it, the great thing is you can make anything into a worksheet. You could literally handwrite a note, take a picture of it on your coffee table, and turn it into a PDF. It's that easy. It's so user-friendly. You would love it. Then another great thing to use are your online textbooks. We in Cabell County have used Pearson for the last 5 years for language arts. We're actually getting a new textbook series this year, and I don't know what it is yet. But with Pearson, as you guys know, you always have all of those consumable workbooks. Well, online, we also had the e-tools that gave us all of those in PDF format. So you can easily go through those and just upload those as an assignment. And I'm going to show you how to upload them. They're super easy. Also, go on to the tests. Like, you could go to an online test, and literally what I do is I take screenshots of each question and then pop those in when I make a test. And so the test is already created, and the computer's going to grade it for me, is the beautiful part. So you can't get better than that. And then, of course, know your LMS, whatever it happens to be. Remember that learning management system. If it's not Schoology, just go online and Google it. You'll find some great how-to videos from some awesome teachers and just watch those. And then last but not least, please think outside the box. As we all know, if you have a bored student, most of the time you're going to have a problem student. And you don't want that, and I don't want that for you. And most of the time your students don't want that either. They don't want to be getting in trouble. And I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. There are so many amazing programs out there that you can use. So go for those. Use those things. I use Kahoot. I use Nearpod, Ed Puzzles, quizzes, Seesaw, SurveyMonkey, forms. There's just tons and tons of things out there that are already available for you. Think outside the box. And most of those can easily be implanted into an assignment that's super easy for the kids to get to, and you're not going to have any more issues than if you had just taken a PDF of something. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Schoology. When you go to upload assignments, like I said, my county does use Schoology, but remember, you can go to YouTube and find a video how to upload any type of assignment. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what you would do on Schoology itself, okay? So the first thing you do when you get into Schoology is you're going to have to select a course. Now, I don't know if all the counties do this, but I know Cabell County does. We have something called a Sandbox course, and it's always there, even in the summertime, like now when I don't have any other courses available. My Sandbox course is always there. The great thing with the Sandbox is you can set it up and then you can practice as a teacher, or you can set it up and create your students and log in as one of those practice students so you can see what they do as well. So that's a great place to practice. So start off with your Sandbox. Of course, if this was the regular school year, I would have language arts, math, whatever. So I would just click on that course that I wanted to make an assignment in. After you do that, then you just have to go to this. This is what you would see in this material box. You could drop that down. These are all of your options. Of course, add an assignment is the one you're going to use most often, but I'm going to talk about some of the others. You can add folders. This is a great way to organize your materials. For instance, every week what I do, I add a folder that has the title of our story on it in language arts or our chapter in math, and I put all the assignments inside there. That way then if a kid's missing something, I can say, hey, the week that we read blah, 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 you didn't turn in a spelling test, and you need to go back in that folder and find it and do it. So it makes it really easy. So I suggest making a folder each week for your assignments. Of course, add assignments is where we would go to create something. This one that looks like the puzzle, this is how we get those tests and quizzes that are automatically graded, and they are fantastic. You'll definitely want that. This adding a file or a link is super easy because you can literally put a link into a website on an assignment. The kids will click it and go straight to it. I love discussion posts. This is a great way. Say we did a read aloud and I want to make sure everyone was paying attention. I can throw in a question about it, have the kids do that, and you can actually set these up for a grade for points, or most of the time I just set my discussion posts up as a pass or fail. So then it's only worth 1 point. But, I tell my kids, remember, if we've did 25 or 30 of those in 9 weeks, that's a good little chunk of your grade. So make sure you're getting those completed, even though they're worth just a point. And so there's lots of things we can do. And then here's this other tab that says import from resources. So if you can save things from year to year if you like them in your resources. And then the next year that assignment's already there. So you can just click here, grab it. So unfortunately we changed reading series because I have all of my tests already finished. If we weren't changing reading series this year in language arts, every week I would just be able to click here, load them, and be ready to go. So then once you click on that add assignments, you see this box. You have to give everything a name. You don't have to give it a description. I usually do not. But then this little box, it's very hard to see. It's even hard to see on your iPad or your computer at home, but it actually looks like a little file cabinet drawer if you can see it. And when you click on there, all those PDFs you've created or saved will be in there. That is your file box. You will give things a due date. Once you do, the time will automatically set up to 11:59 p.m. You can change it if you want. Say if you want it to be done by the end of the school day, you could set that for 3 o'clock, whatever. Your point value can also be changed. All right, let's see. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to choose your options. Let me go back to where I was real quick. Okay, so you're going to choose your options. So there's a couple things here. This one that is a category, it again is required. This will become your best friend. I'm just telling you. This actually allows you to create categories inside your gradebook. So normally your grades are just produced from, most recent to the farthest away. Well, you can actually sort them by assignment type. And so, for instance, I might list homework or morning work or lab sheet, whatever it happens to be. And once you create them, they're always in here for you to use. Then in my grade book, it would sort. All of my lab sheet assignments would be in order. All of my homework assignments would be in order. It just makes things really easy to find. Then the grading period, just a little note, it automatically changes for you. But the last week of the 9 weeks, I never want to give work that's going to be due on that grading period. So I always jump ahead to the next grading period. So I have to manually do that. And then the same thing kind of happens that first week of a new grading period. It often doesn't roll over until Weavis rolls over. So usually for about the first week, you have to change that to the correct grading period. And then you can change whether it's just a numeric based on points or if you want to do a pass-fail option like that. These little 3 dots are one of my absolute favorites. This actually gives you the option to assign things to particular students. So for a math group or a reading group, maybe you want to make an assignment that's just for those 5 or 6 students. You can do that. Also, this is great for my special ed kids, especially kids that are out a lot of the day. So they actually are receiving grades from another teacher. So I can actually just get the grades from the special ed teacher, of course, because I'm the one that has to put them into Weavis, and I can assign them just to those students. Then when I see my grade book, it will actually be grayed out for every student that I didn't assign it to. And the only people that it's an option to grade for is these kids. So that's great to have that as well. So that's how you upload your assignments, and that's all you have to do. I know that kind of can seem overwhelming, but really it's very simple. About 20 minutes to make your very first assignment. After that, each week you'll be able to do them in 5 or 10 minutes tops. And then remember, you want to think outside the box. Like I said, I told you several of the programs I use. I wanted to show you 2 of my favorite programs that I use, Quizzes and Nearpod. And the reason these are my favorites is because they're my kids' favorites. They're super popular with my students. Quizzes, if you haven't used it, is super user-friendly. It acts more like between a video game and a game show, kind of that type of atmosphere. The kids love it. Nearpod is definitely more educational based, but it has so many options. So let's take a look at Quizzes. Once you have created your own account for yourself, let me start this over just a second. There we go. This site is called quizzes.com. It is one of my favorite activities to do with the kids. It's very quick. Once you have created your own account for yourself, you can actually add students to your account where you can see when they've completed assignments, which is great. You can also just go onto the website, find a game, throw it up on your smart board or your smart TV, whichever you happen to have in your classroom, and go from there. So you can get as involved in it as you want or as little as you want. You can create your own quizzes, or you can find ones that are already out there for you. So this is my teacher dashboard. If you click over here on my library, this is going to take you to ones that I've used recently or that I've created. You can also go into Explore. You can type in a topic. It'll also recommend things for you. It's divided into subjects. So we're just going to click on one so I can show you what they look like. Okay, so this one says it's a math assessment for fractions. One way that I know this is a pretty good one is that it shows me right here that it's been played 11,550 times. So it's been pretty popular. So a lot of teachers have used it. Again, if you have those classrooms set up with students, you can assign these as homework, and then you'll actually have a log as to whether or not the students have completed it. If you have trouble with your students being real honest whether they did something, that might be easier for you. I often just do a live quiz and then have my kids take a screenshot at the end and post that to a discussion post, and I use that for their grade. You can also see their names, of course, if you have them log in, and make sure that when they start the quiz, it'll make them pick a name, either a character's name or their own. I make them use their own name so that I know who's on and who's not. But anyway, this is what it'll look like. You'll just click preview. When you get here, you see the options the students would have. You can do a challenge. You can do that even between classrooms. And so that's really fun. The kids love doing that. You can set it up as flashcards so that they can use these tools to study by. I'm just going to show you a typical game. So I'm just going to hit start. And this is what the kids are seeing. So you see it kind of acts like a video game. So 6/7 or 2/7, I have greater than, less than, and equal to choices. So I'm going to select my choice. It tells me I was correct. We get a little meme. The kids love the memes, actually. It cracks me up how excited they get. Which one is more than a half? And then I'm going to show you what happens when you get one of these wrong.
It looks like Rhonda, we're having a problem. We're not able to see your screen.
So it's really interactive.
Okay.
They can see what's going on.
Well, let's just go ahead
And
and
again, they can build those right back up.
okay. So I'm sorry. I'm not sure why we weren't able to see that. We tried that just a little bit ago and it worked fine. See, that always happens to me. Okay. Are you able to see my screen now, Tiffany?
Yeah, but, I can see your mouse moving around. It just says quizzes and Nearpod. But were you presenting? It sounded like we were getting some sound effects, but we weren't able to see. We just see one slide that says.
Okay. There was an embedded video there.
Okay.
But you see the embedded video?
No.
Okay. All right. Let me. I wonder. Tiffany, do you mind if I stop sharing my screen with you for a minute? Because maybe it's my options on sharing. Remember how you could use your Chrome tab? I might need to select another tab down there.
That sounds like a good idea. Let's try that.
So let's try that real quick. Let me go back into my options. I'm just going to go for my entire screen this time, and we'll just see if that'll work. Okay, so now what are you seeing, Tiffany?
See, that's just that same slide that says, don't forget to think outside the box, quizzes and Nearpod.
All right, so let me go back to my quizzes link and see now if you can see the video. Can you see the video coming on here?
Your own account for yourself.
We can, but do you happen to have a YouTube link? If you would copy and paste the YouTube link into the middle button, that would be a better sharing experience for everyone.
Okay, sure.
Do you see what I mean?
Where do you want me to share it to? I'm sorry.
So there is a YouTube video sharing option that's in the it's the fourth option over. If you click on it, it's like a little YouTube symbol.
Okay, I'm looking here. Just one second.
You'll see the microphone, and right next to it is YouTube share video option, and you can put in the URL.
Okay, just one second.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen just one more time so I can make sure I have the right thing. So next to my microphone, is that the video camera one? Nope, that's my video. Tiffany, I'm not seeing that option. I can post it in the chat if that would work for you, and they can just watch that on their own.
Yeah, that would work. The way that you had it before, I mean, we could see it. It just wasn't very clear. And okay. I don't know why.
But see, that's strange because we just tried this a minute ago and it actually came on.
If you want to post the link in the chat, I can see if I can share it.
Okay, let me grab that really quick then for you.
Sorry about that, everyone.
We gotta love to see. This is what we're talking about. You always have technical difficulties. You just have to roll with them.
Exactly.
And the great thing is with your students, they're pretty chill about it when something doesn't work too well. So they don't get real worked up. So they take it much better than we do usually. Okay, so that first one I just posted is the quizzes video. I'm going to go ahead and give you the Nearpod video as well in case we have the same, so we don't have that same issue, okay? By making your own Nearpods using the... This site is called quizzes.com. It is one of my favorites. So I've sent you both of those links, Tiffany, okay?
To be working for everyone now?
It's very quick. Once you have created your own account for yourself, you can actually add students to your account.
I am saying it.
It doesn't look like it's working. I don't know.
Well, we can just skip that part if that's okay.
and I will just go back to, and I can talk to you a little bit about them. Let's see. It is actually giving me the option now to share my Nearpod video with you. It wasn't giving me the option earlier to share my quizzes video with you, so let's try this and see if this works. This is going to be Nearpod, guys, which is a little bit different, but let's see if we try this one, if you guys can see it. Okay, so are you seeing my Nearpod screen on YouTube? Tiffany, are you able to see that?
I can see it's a YouTube screen.
Okay, so let me hit play and see if you guys actually get to hear. Can you hear the video? Nearpod.com. This again is one of those sites.
It's very low. I can hear it, but I can't see it very well.
Okay, well we'll just won't worry about that part, and I'll just talk to you a little bit about it. How's that?
Okay, sorry about that, Ron.
Oh, no problem. Not your fault. Those things just happen sometimes, so we're not too worried. Okay, so anyway, guys, I'll just tell you a little bit about quizzes in Nearpod. Quizzes is great. They actually have a bank of all of these preloaded games and questions, or you can make your own, which is fantastic. I love the option to make my own, but that's just me personally, because I'll be real honest, I'm very anal and I like to know exactly what's coming up. And also I don't have to preview those and make sure there's nothing wrong with them, because I just am always a little bit nervous about possibly giving a, because as you know, it's much harder to deprogram something when you've taught it wrong rather than to teach it right the first time. So with quizzes.com, great place, make your own quizzes or find one that's already there. And the kids love it because they love to compete. It actually has like the Olympic podium, it throws confetti. I mean, the kids, it goes crazy. The kids love it. And then with Nearpod, the great thing with Nearpod, it has so many options. You can go on Nearpod and literally launch something within 5 or 6 seconds. They have these things that are called collaborate boards that kind of look like an old-timey cork board. And you can pop up a question. So for instance, like in my little video today, I did one like on an inside recess day. I could throw up a question that says, do you prefer games or a movie today? And literally the kids throw their answer up and it looks like these little Post-its that come up on the board. And you can always do those to where the kids' names are on them or where they're not. And one thing, it'll always give you the option as a teacher before you actually get in there and get started. It'll say, do you want to approve any comments before the other students see them? I would always say yes to that question. I have 5th graders and you never know what someone might think is funny that's not going to be appropriate for everyone else to see. So you might want to do that just to save yourself the worry about that later. But Nearpod has videos posted. There's some great BBC videos. We did one on food webs and food chains. Great apex predator video that my kids loved watching. And those things are already on there. So like I say, don't reinvent the wheel. It's already out there for you. So that's phenomenal. Also, they have built-in games. There's one called Climb Time. Yeah, Climb Time's what it is. And at the beginning, the kids get to choose what type of character they want. They have little avatars. They can be people, they can be dinosaurs, whatever. And then it's that same type of thing. You've typed in the questions or you've downloaded them from somewhere. And the kids, as they're answering the questions, when they get them right, their little man or the little character is climbing up the mountain and they're racing. And if they get one wrong, like a snowball will roll down the hill at them or they'll fall backwards, whatever it is. And so the kids love it. Again, it gives them that video game element. And those things are already out there for you. So I just say, why not take advantage of those things that are already out there? Because as a kid, if it's something that's entertaining, you don't even realize that you're learning most of the time. So that's just a little bit about some of the things I like to use. But then one thing you have to do, guys, is you have to learn how to be a successful student yourself. Because if you can't do it, how are you going to teach the kids how to do it? So some of the things you need to learn how to do is you have to actually practice how to write on assignment, how to make changes to an assignment, and then what it looks like when you submit an assignment. Are you going to log in as a student and see what's there for the kid? Know exactly, again, how to turn those things in. You have to practice doing it, because if you don't, you won't know what to do. What I usually do, I know that Sandbox course will let you log in as a student, but that first week we come back to school, once Weavis already gives you your student rosters, I usually just go down through my list, look for a parent that I know, or maybe I've already had that kid, or a lot of times a staff member's kid, and I will just send them a quick message and say, hey, I want to know if I could log on as Susie today, just to practice some of the assignments I have coming up to make sure they're working okay. I've never had a parent turn me down. And then you just delete those things once they're on there. So it's super easy way to practice and know exactly what a student has to do. And then one thing I never thought I would do is become a YouTuber, but it's great to create those videos. They're super easy to create, super easy to upload. When you're not using a platform like we're using today, they're usually really easy to access. Hopefully, you'll be able to see this next one I'm going to show you, because it actually shows you what it looks like from the student side. So we'll try one more here in just a minute. But YouTube is a great thing. Kids love it. And so I suggest making your own channel and have a way where they can access it. So this video may or may not work. If it doesn't, just from the very beginning, Tiffany, just let me know and we just won't even try. Okay, guys, so here's just a reminder video of how you submit things. Tiffany, can you see and hear this video by any chance?
I can hear it, but I cannot see it, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, whatever's going on with the system, we don't know what that is, because like I said, these worked, I promise, guys, at 1:55 when Tiffany and I tried them. But I will have a link. I will have a link for all. You'll be more than welcome to go to those. So, but anyway, we'll keep moving. All right. And then the next part, of course, is the part that you're all going to love. And that's that grading for me has never been easier than this. For instance, it's so convenient. You don't have to have those huge stacks of papers that you're trying to keep track of. You know, I don't know how many times I've been carrying papers into my house, drop them, they all scatter. Then you have to sort them back and put the spelling tests and the math tests and get everything separated. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Those lost papers, you know, you always have that kid that says, but I gave it to you. Well, it's pretty easy. Well, it says right here that you haven't turned in this assignment yet. So they can't say, I gave it to you. It's either there or it's not. I didn't have to worry about that. That's great. And then the turnaround is just super fast. Literally, the second you hit submit to that grade. So make sure you really want that comment on there. Don't let your temper lead your thinking sometimes. Make sure you're ready. Once you hit submit, the kids can see it. So if they happen to be online when you're grading, it literally pops up that very instant. And then one thing I love is that you can give such great feedback. If you see that you have a little one that's really struggling, you can, you know, I've actually submitted a video onto the paper and shown the kids how to do a problem. You can send them a link to a homework help video maybe, or you can even just say, you know, this is what you were supposed to be doing. Maybe they were supposed to be circling something and instead they crossed it out and you can't read it. So, you know, you can literally put a note on there and say, could you just resubmit this? And they literally can go back in, do the assignment, and it'll pop up for you that you have a new paper to grade from that student. So feedback is great. And then one thing I say, once you get started, why not go that extra mile? This was my classroom that year that we were talking about when we started, when we went paperless. And I was actually teaching coding in this lesson. Coding is fantastic. If you haven't taught coding, it is something that I suggest you play around with this summer. It is so much fun. And I will be honest, I had no clue what I was doing when I started. So I actually had to teach myself the weekend before, and then I would do it with the kids. Of course, they are way faster at it than you ever will be, and they will catch on. But for my kids, for them, they felt like this was 45 minutes of me letting them play video games. And this was literally the most challenging work that we would do all week, because they had to think outside the box. They had to use a language that they had never used before. They had to create things that they had never created before. This was great experience. So go that extra mile. Try something new. Get outside of your comfort zone. We expect our kids to do it, so why not get outside of yours?
I just wanted to chime in and let you know it's 5 minutes until question time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And then the next thing I would suggest you consider is making a virtual environment. You know, you saw these all over the internet last summer. If you were looking around, everyone was making these cute little Bitmoji classrooms. Well, I love cute, but I'm not all about, you know, too much work. So I made myself 2 very quick, very easy to access virtual classrooms. So that was pretty easy for me. The first one I made look like this. This was my classroom for my kids. And what it actually did was I just told my kids, I put this up on our Schoology homepage, and I would tell them, just go around my classroom, click on things that have, once you get a hand, you know, something you can click on, and see what it does for you. So for instance, right here, I had a poster of our classroom rules, and you would click on it and it would take you to that for them to see that. There was actually this little book of wonder right here. I'm not going to bother clicking on it because it's another YouTube channel. But if they would click on this, this was the book we were reading at the beginning of the year. And so it would take them to audio of the chapters in the book. This basket right here actually has math manipulatives in it. And they are online manipulatives that the kids could use. So literally, I could click on that. It would come up with these math manipulatives, and the kids could actually use those math manipulatives. So again, it was something that was just super easy for my kids to use. And I like to have those up all year long. And then the other one that I used, and I only had these two, was this one. I kept it up for my kids every day. This was the first thing they would see as soon as they would log in, if they were my virtual kids, or that first year when they were actually in my classroom. This was like my morning work and my agenda. So all I had to do every morning was literally open my computer and I was good to go. Now, this is something you may not choose to do, but I never care for my parents to have my contact information. It just makes it easier for me. If they have a question, they can text me. That's just a whole lot easier for me. And I always just put for parents only, and I've never had a kid use it inappropriately. So, and then my email address, because the kids are going to need that. And so they ask you 100 times a day. So you just make sure you always have it and say, remember, just go to the classroom and get it. Again, anytime they would see me, if they click on the Bitmoji of me, it takes them to my YouTube channel. They can find things there. If they would click on this easel, it would take them to the question of the day, which I usually used forms on Microsoft Office. We used Google Forms because it's much cuter, but our county wouldn't allow us to use it. We had to use Microsoft Forms. And then on the clock, they would click on that, and that would be their agenda. That would tell them everything we were going to do for the day. So last but not least, I want to leave you with a little quote, and that's to improve is to change, and to be perfect is to change often. You know, we expect our students to be fluid, so we want to be fluid as well. And if you're not changing, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you die. So that's just one of my favorite quotes by Winston Churchill. And thank you very much for coming today. And if you have any questions now, I will gladly take those questions.
A question, you can request to share your screen, or you can definitely type it into the chat, and Rhonda would be happy to help answer the question.
And I will also gladly put a link to my YouTube channel, because I actually have a playlist that is how-tos for students. I have one that's how-tos for teachers. And so you can go on there and see kind of what it's like. That way, then when you get in your learning platform, you can say, oh, okay, that would probably be a way to make a video to share for my kids. So I'll have access for those for you guys as well.
Be great.
I'm sorry those videos weren't working, guys. I really hate that.
I'm sorry about that. If nobody has any questions, I guess you can go ahead and wrap up the session unless you have anything else, Rhonda.
Nope, that'll be it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend and have a good summer.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your presentation with us and all that great information. And thanks everyone for attending.